Hey guys, Mark here. In this video, I'm going to show you how to run Facebook ads and not lose a shit ton of money. Now, I don't know why it is this way, but for some reason, whenever people get into the whole e-com space, they're basically immediately brainwashed into this terrible line of thinking, which is, hey, 99% of my success comes down to one thing, and that one thing is, you guessed it, the product. And of course, this is not actually the real reality. This is not the allocation of what's most important. Like, this would be like everything else, and 99% is the product. This is what most people genuinely believe, but in reality, what it really looks like is this. This tiny little piece right here, that is like maybe 5% of the whole pie, is actually the product. I actually think the product is not the end all be all thing, and I've believed that for quite a long time. The major piece here, is literally just knowing how to read your fucking data. Everything inside of the Facebook ad account is a signal. It's a signal to you so that you, because you're such a smart marketer, know what you need to adjust. Like every number on the dashboard, every number on your funnel even, is just like indication. It's like if you're driving a car and your check engine light comes on. You don't know exactly what the problem is yet. It's just an indication that you need to check things out. That's exactly how you should think about running Facebook ads. So in this video, I want to actually walk you through the most important metrics that you need to know, like the back of your freaking hand. And when you find one that is outside of KPI for you, exactly how to fix it. So when it comes to all the metrics within the ads manager and also within the funnel, because if you're not looking at the funnel, AKA your store, then you could be diagnosing the wrong thing. For example, maybe your ads are actually performing great. You know, all your numbers are super within KPI, but your funnel is simply just not converting people, or it's not converting people at a high enough average order value, which we'll get to that in a second. But the way that I like to explain this is that you have soft metrics and you have hard metrics. So soft metrics are things that don't involve somebody actually taking an action on buying your product. So a hard metric would be something like an add to cart, initiate checkout, a purchase, multiple purchases, a subscription, etc. But soft metrics, this is all on the ad side. And the most important of these soft metrics is the CPC, right? This is your cost per link click, specifically your link CPC. So when you go to the Facebook Ads Manager, you'll notice that there's all types of CPC. You want to make sure that you click link CPC. And this is the cost that you're paying Facebook to get somebody to actually click a link on your ad that goes to your website. If you click the regular CPC, technically speaking, if somebody clicks like the expand text section on your ad, that's technically a click, but we don't want to factor that in. So make sure that you use CPC link. This is the most important soft metric in your entire ad account, because this is what you're paying to acquire somebody who is potentially interested in buying your product. Now, the KPI here, if you're running in the US, I say you need to keep your KPI for cost per click around $1.50. If you're running a big four, I think anywhere from $1 to $1.50 is within KPI. But this is one of the first things that I look at, because depending on the other metrics that I'm going to get to in a second, this is the indicator. Like, this is not the root cause of the problem ever, because there's always something underlying the CPC. Maybe it's your creative, maybe it's your targeting. We'll get into that, but this is really like the check engine light, and it should prompt you to go into all these other soft metrics to identify, let's say your CPC is outside of KPI. Okay, what is it exactly that's causing that CPC to go up? So next up, we have CTR link. This is something that could be influencing your CPC here, right? Your CTR stands for click-through rate. This is the percentage of people out of the total impressions that Facebook is serving to your audience. What percentage of people are clicking on the link and going to your website, right? The KPI here is 3%. Doesn't matter which country you're running in. It's most difficult to do in the United States, naturally, because the United States is the most competitive market out there. However, 3% is still the KPI, all right? So if you go and look at your ads and your CTR is under 3%, that would be something that you need to look into. By the way, guys, I have a few more soft metrics here. The most important thing that I see time and time again that raises your CPC is simply your creatives are not good enough. I know that's like not the answer that anybody wants to hear, but look, it's 2025. Creative is king. Creative is your targeting. Like, all the targeting at the media buying level is like borderline obsolete. We still do a tiny bit, but for the most part, the algorithm has all the power, which means that you, as the marketer, the one actually creating these creatives, you have the biggest control over every single soft metric here. And a lot of times, the simple, albeit a little bit annoying answer is that you just have to make fucking better creatives, dude. A lot of times, that is simply your answer. Next up on the list, we have CPMs, probably the trickiest metric out of all of these. CPM stands for cost per meal. And what it means is, how much money do I have to pay Facebook to get 1,000 impressions on my particular ad? So for example, if I have $30 CPMs, that means I go to Facebook and I say, hey, here's my $30. Or say, cool, I'm going to take that ad you just made and show it to 1,000 people. All right, that's generally how you want to think about it. I said CPMs are the most complex issue because there's so many things that can impact it. I don't want to unpack CPMs in this video. all you need to know is that if your CPC is outside of KPI, it's above $1.50. Let's say it's $2, $2.50. The KPI for CPMs, if you're running in the US, should be around $30 to $50. If you're running with extremely high CPMs, that could be influencing your CPC. Now keep in mind, this should be at the top of your mind. Everything else, if it's outside of KPI, but the CPC is within KPI, you're good. You're chilling. Like a lot of times I see guys that are running in European countries, for example, like Italy, the CPMs are dirt cheap. You know, they're like 11 euros, 12 euros, 15 euros. And as a result, because it's so cheap to advertise there, it's going to drop your CTR pretty substantially, unless you just have monstrously good creatives, which if you do, shout out to you, you're going to be printing. But ultimately, it doesn't matter that the CTR is technically outside of KPI because your CPC is still going to be so low because your cost to advertise, aka your CPMs, is also very low. So that's the general way that you want to think about it. Next up is the hook rate. So we're getting into some custom metrics here. A hook rate is a percentage of people that continue to watch your ad after the first 3 seconds. Your KPI here is 50%. This is only applicable if you're running video ads because this metric doesn't exist if you're not viewing a video. But if you have a hook rate that is less than 50%, this is one thing that I will not compromise on. If my hook rate is less than 50%, like I don't even want to talk about anything else except for creating better hooks for my ads. Another custom metric here that I have is your hold rate. So this is the percentage of people that are watching up to a specific portion of your video. Could be 50% video view, 75% video view, whatever, way that you want to set it up. We personally use 50% as that metric. And what you really want to be looking at here is a 25% KPI. So this of course depends a lot on the length of your ad, because naturally if you're running like a 12-minute VSL, which we do, your hold rate is going to be dog shit. And that's okay. Like I don't even look at that number in that case. I'm more so looking at some other metrics. But if the hook rate is good and the CPC is good, then hold rate becomes mostly irrelevant at that stage. Now, the final thing on the soft metrics is your frequency. Now, I was debating putting this one on the list. Frequency essentially means how many times is one individual person seeing that same creative. The reason I decided to put it on this list is because in 2025, your creative is your targeting. And a lot of times people will start testing creatives. They're like disguised as retargeting creatives, right? You have the product in the actual, let's just say image ad, for example, and you have this retargeting style ad copy. Facebook picks up on that because once again, your creative is your targeting, and they will only serve that ad to people that are already pretty warm, already within your Facebook ecosystem. The problem with that is if you're trying to target cold audiences, top of funnel audiences, but your frequency is like at a 2, something ain't right. Something is broken that you have to fix. Probably the creative itself, if not the targeting within the ad set level. And that's it for the soft metrics. Pretty straightforward. But these are the first things that I'm looking at. I'm really looking at CPC. And if I see that it's outside of KPI, I want to know why. Is it because the CPMs are super high? Is it because your CTR is super low and your creatives are just dog shit? Is it because your hook rate is dog shit? Is it because your hold rate is dog shit? Something on this list has got to be dog shit if you're not making money. And if not, then we'll move over to the other column, which is going to be all your hard metrics. Because maybe you're just a fucking ad god, bro. Congrats. Must be nice. But for us mortals, we got to work on the funnel. So let's go over to the hard metrics, all right? These are, as I said, the conversion metrics. So your add to carts, your purchases, your initiate checkouts, people that are taking a direct action that is measurable so that you can actually get people to buy your shit, all right? First up on the list, we have CVR, AKA your conversion rate. This is the equivalent of the CPC. This is like one of the main things that I'm looking at when it comes to the profitability of your funnel. Now, important note here, this metric is relative. Like for me, the KPI is a minimum of 3%. And I think that's a pretty good standard across basically 90% of all the e-commerce brands out there. However, if you're selling a product that is very, very expensive and you are running a more complex funnel, for example, pre-sale pages, advertorials, listicles, sales page, order page, upsells, etc., you can actually sacrifice a little bit more because your funnel is doing more heavy lifting and you're just getting really cheap traffic from Facebook. So it's all relative, but generally speaking, you want to shoot for a minimum of 3%, absolute minimum. If you're selling like a $40 product, then I think 4% should be the KPI. And if you're selling something cheaper, then even 5% is realistic. Next up on the hard metrics list, we have the add to cart ratio. So if you send 100 people to your landing page, let's just say you're running a PDP, right? Standard product page. I want to see at least 10% of those people actually add that item to the cart. So I want to see a 10% ratio from people who view the content, AKA view the landing page, to add to cart. If it's anything less than this tells me that my sales page sucks. My PDP sucks, all right? I'm getting traffic, everything on the ad side is good, but people are getting to the landing page and something is breaking because they are clearly not adding this item to the cart. So you could be getting what's called curiosity clicks, in which case your ads, they may look like they're doing really well, but what about the quality of the clicks that are landing on your landing page? If it's just dog shit traffic, then of course you're going to see that reflected in your add to cart ratio, in which case you would actually need to go back to the creative, adjust those soft metrics so that you qualify your traffic a little bit more. Next up on the list, we have your add to cart to purchase ratio. So this is like one step deeper down the funnel. For example, if you have like those 10 add to carts that I mentioned previously, I want to see at least 3 of those go through and actually purchase, which means that is a 30% add to cart to purchase ratio. If I have 10 add to carts, I want to see 3 go through and purchase. If you have a breakdown here, that means that people are interested, like they see the ad, the PDP is good enough so that they add it to cart, but they don't go and complete their purchase. Now, you could add some urgency and some scarcity in there. Yes, of course, we all know those standard persuasion principles. However, what I see a lot of times is that people haven't actually gone through and QC'd their own process. Like, have you actually gone through your own website, added it to cart, initiate checkout, and actually purchased from your own business? Because if you haven't, you should. You may have something that is broken. Maybe your payment processor wasn't set up properly. Maybe there's an error on the checkout page. Maybe there's something really weird on the add to cart page. And being able to divide these metrics this way will help you identify what that issue is. If there's a massive drop off from add to cart to initiate checkout, you know that there's a problem with the cart page, if any. And if there's a drop off from initiate checkout to purchase, then that's a checkout page issue. So notice how I'm basically taking this CVR concept, like the conversion rate, and I'm trying to divide it into these subcomponent steps where I can actually identify where the breakdown is occurring. I'll tell you guys, I have trained multiple media buyers, multiple copywriters myself, and I teach them all the same framework, which is to ask yourself the question, where is the breakdown occurring? Marketing is just a game of funnels in general. I know I talk a lot about funnels, funnel scaling, chat funnels, whatever, but everything is a funnel. Like at the very, very top of the funnel on Facebook, on your ads, you have an impression. So somebody sees your brand for the first time. How many people actually will click on that initially? That's the first drop off. That's the first breakdown. Right? Typically 97% of people, if you're within KPI, are never going to click on your ad. So that's like the first drop down. And then they click the ad and then they land on a landing page. That's another drop off. And then from landing page to add a cart, another drop off. And you just want to like be fucking maniacal about breaking down these big, scary metrics like your CPC and your CVR into these subcomponent steps, because it's a lot easier to identify the root cause of the issue and you don't end up trying to fix something that wasn't even broken in the first place. So next up on the list of hard metrics, we have AOV, right? Pretty standard, average order value. And the reason I have this on the list here is because this is what I see most entrepreneurs lacking on in general. They are not optimizing their upsell path whatsoever, either pre-purchase or post-purchase. It's just complete dog shit. And the way that I can know it's complete dog shit is actually because of this next metric here, which is your AOV to front end ratio. So what that means is, let's say that I'm selling a product, fidget spinner, selling it for $40. It's a premium fidget spinner. And my average order value on that store is $40. So it's literally a 1-to-1 ratio of my AOV to my front end product price. Terrible, absolutely terrible. That basically means that there is zero AOV contribution whatsoever throughout the rest of that funnel. Absolutely nothing. There's literally nothing that you're doing to extract more cash from your customers other than that one product. This is like the 2018 bullshit ass way of running e-com. It's not going to work, and it's going to be so difficult for you to scale because every customer that you have coming in is so cheap and they're not buying that much of your shit. You got to fix that. All right. There's a bunch of strategies. I posted videos on that. You can check it out. The optimal ratio here, I didn't give a KPI for AOV because it's so dependent on what your product price, but I can give one here. Minimum, absolute minimum should be a 2-to-1 ratio, which means if I'm selling that same $40 fidget spinner, my AOV should be 80. Yeah, 80. That's double your front end product price. And to be honest, if you're asking me, I think that's like conservative. I think you can get it significantly higher, 3, 4, 5x even of your front end product price. Of course, it all depends on which strategy you're running with, but absolute minimum, in my opinion, should be a 2x ratio here. So if you're selling a $40 product, shoot for $80 AOV. If you're selling a $100 product, shoot for $200 AOV. It's 100% doable. If you think that it's not, you haven't been in the game for that long and you just gotta fucking level up. And that's not me trying to like ego slam you. It's just me being completely honest because I had to go through this process myself. And this was a big like belief shifting moment for me. When I finally realized this, everything else became easier. And so next up on the hard metrics list, we have your average order value to LTV ratio. What this is essentially doing is showing how much am I getting one customer for, right? How much value does that one order bring me, which is your average order value, versus how much is that customer worth, period? What is the lifetime value of that customer? Now, the main thing that this one tells me is what is your retention and your repeat customer purchase rate. So I could have just added that on here, but ultimately I don't even care what your repeat purchase rate. I want to see how high your LTV is in comparison to your AOV. So this is showing how good is your retention? How good are you at reselling to your existing customers? What does that email flow look like? What do those SMS flows look like? What is the upsell process? What ads are you running specifically to people who have already bought from you? That is the main reason that I have this metric on here. And once again, the KPI here, ideally, it should be, I kind of wrote this backwards, but it should be 3-to-1 LTV to AOV. So it'd be like 1-to-3 in the way that I wrote it here. So you should have an LTV that's about 3 times as high as your average order value. That's what you want to shoot for. If it's below that, you got retention issues. Just because you acquired a customer once, cool. You did the hard part. You did the most difficult part and you acquired a customer. That's the most expensive thing that you can do in your business. Now, you got to sell them again and again and again, without being an asshole and without completely burning that customer and shooting up your refund rate. Again, I can do whole videos on that, but that's the reason that that's on there. And then the final number that I have here on the hard metrics is your CAC, your cost to acquire customer, AKA your CPA, your cost per purchase. It's all kind of synonymous with the same thing. Now, I'll take this in context with the CVR and the AOV to determine where the breakdown is occurring. So I shit you not, guys. I have calls inside of my program, Brand Builders Academy, which by the way, if you want to apply, you can just click the first link in the description. And we go through these numbers live on the call so that you can get like direct one-on-one feedback from me. And I literally have them fill out a form that looks almost identical to this. I want to see all these numbers so I can identify, all right, what's within KPI, what's outside of KPI. For the stuff that's outside, here's exactly what you do. And half the time, people will come back to those calls and be like, Mark, I implemented what you told me, and I'm like twice as profitable. Thanks. I'm like, cool, let's do it again. And that's the entire process. And I want you guys to understand the data is telling you a story. It's so easy as an early stage entrepreneur to be completely manipulated by your own thoughts, to be manipulated by your own emotions, right? You just like test a product, it's not profitable, and you're just like, oh, it's a stupid product. Like I thought my ads were good, my creatives are good. Fuck this shit. I just gotta move on to the next one. No, that's how a fucking loser, noob, brokey bitch talks, all right? Start talking like a fucking Chad and read the fucking data. It's telling you something. Listen to it. And if you actually know how all these metrics kind of work together and interweave, you can identify the root cause of the issue, AKA you can identify where the breakdown is occurring, right? You want to think about your process of running Facebook ads like a hose, right? And right now the hose has a big fucking bend in the middle, so the water's not flowing through. Your job is to identify where that bend is actually occurring and how to solve it. And once you solve it, of course, it's going to go from bent to being completely straight, and the water is going to flow with no issues, AKA you're going to be printing, all right? Other than that, y'all, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.